these are all for the moratorium.
Moratorium, yes, up here it will be marked.
Okay.
For the
So, public hearing.
moratorium.
Okay.
He just filled out the
Okay.
and his is a letter he wants me to read. 2
Oh, okay.
pages.
Do you have a copy, or I'll send it
I
down?
don't, yeah, just send it back to me now.
Okay,
Mr.
great.
Kell wants me to have a copy of that.
Okay. All right. Okay, exactly. Okay, Gage. Good evening and welcome to the Federal Way City Council meeting for June 21st of 2016. Would you all please rise for the Pledge of Allegiance, and our friend, Rotarian and Blue Ribbon Panel, Dave Berger, would you please lead us in the Pledge of Allegiance? Thank you. All right. Oh, before we have any business, Councilmember Maloney was not feeling well this evening, and so she is home ill. We send her our best, but she is excused for the meeting. All right, now, moving on to presentations. We've got a presentation from the Federal Way Public Health Center, a performance data report from 2015, and Karen Russell, our area manager, is here. And, sir?
Thank you. My name is Jerry DeGreek.
Hi, Jerry.
And I'm the Deputy Director of the Community Health Services Division in Public Health, and I'm here with the Area Manager for Federal Way Public Health, Karen Russell. So we're thrilled to be here today, and what we want to do is give you a very brief report about our services and visits that we continue to provide in your great city at our Public Health Center, and to give you a very brief update on Best Starts for Kids, which I know that the mayor and the city have been very involved in helping to make sure it happened in the first place and to shape it going forward. So first off, I want to thank you. It is because of the foresight and generosity of the city of Federal Way 2 years ago that we are standing before you today about talking about our continued services. 2 years ago, we were in a financial crisis, and we were threatening, because of our financial crisis, to have to close several of our public health centers, including the Public Health Center in Federal Way. And during that time, the county executive wanted to find a way to keep these services open, but we needed to have bridge funding for those services. And Federal Way was really the first city to step forward and say, these services are important to our residents, and even though we don't want to fund them on an ongoing basis, we will join in partnership with the county executive and others in order to provide bridge funding so these important public health services could continue for your residents. So thank you for that. You contributed $221,000, and along with the support from other cities, we were able not to close the Federal Way Public Health Center, and therefore we are here today. One of the things that we wanted to do at that time was to say, public health has been underfunded for quite a few years, and there needed to be a new funding source to provide some measure of financial stability for these important public health services. So you all worked with the county and to promulgate Best Starts for Kids, a levy which was put before the voters last fall and was overwhelmingly passed. And that levy, among other things, which I'll mention a little bit later, provided some funding so that our key public health services are stable going forward. So that's why tonight, Karen and I are very happy that we're not here asking you for another $221,000. And I'm going to turn it over to Karen to talk about our services in Federal Way.
Thank you. This is our Federal Way Public Health Center. We are located right strategically right next to the Multi-Service Center, and in the same building with a couple partners. First of all, we'll talk about the services that we provide. In our building, we provide WIC, Women, Infants, and Children's Nutrition and Education Program, First Steps, maternity support, and infant case management services for pregnant women and children up to 2 years old, up to 1 year old. We have a family planning clinic. We have nurses who go out and do home visits for the MSS and ICM program and children with special health care needs out of our office. We also offer health care enrollment assistance and Orca lift cards for people to get reduced fares on transportation. In our building, we also share the building with some strategic partners that provide complementary services there. HealthPoint provides medical, dental, and pharmacy services. And we have now added the King County Sexual Assault Resource Center that has therapy there every day. We also provide services at some satellite locations. At the Federal Way DSHS Community Service Office, we have a public health nurse there who's able to do some pregnancy testing as well as some family planning consultation and services. And we also provide services at the HealthPoint Midway location, again co-located with HealthPoint and Valley Cities. And we have WIC and maternity support services there. Some of the other services from public health centers that are available for citizens of Federal Way, I know that you're very aware of the services by our mobile medical van for people who are living homeless, and they routinely stop at several of the facilities in South King County, including in Federal Way. We also have nurse home visits for the Nurse Family Partnership for young moms with children up to 2 years old. And there's also dental care. It's not right here that public health provides it, but we do provide it at the Renton Public Health Center by Public Health. Here's the performance data for 2015 at our Public Health Center and our satellite sites. So you'll see we've done lots of visits, a grand total of over 31,000 visits. Most of those are in our WIC and maternity support programs at our main public health center, as well as at our HealthPoint Midway Clinic. We also provided family planning, over 3,000 visits in the community, for a total of almost 26,000 visits right at our center, several at the Midway site, home visits, we at the community service office, and we also make visits to new moms when they deliver at the hospital to make sure that they get connected with services. And of course, there's always the other. So those are our services for the year of 2015. And I thought you might be interested for just the residents from Federal Way who put Federal Way as their city. 20,000 of those 31,000, so 2/3 of the people who come to the center here live right here in our community. So we knew that, and it's nice to see that. And we served, of the 20,000 visits to our satellite and our main center, 6,849 of those were Federal Way residents, and some obviously had services more than once and in different programs. Also, throughout all of our public health center system, Federal Way residents went to every public health center, but primarily in addition to Federal Way at Auburn, Kent, Renton, and downtown, and then also the mobile medical van.
So, as I mentioned, Best Starts for Kids is a levy that passed last November, and a small portion of that levy provides funding for some of our key public health services, including our WIC, our maternity support services, infant case management, and nurse family partnership program. So that provides a measure of stability for these programs going forward. But Best Starts for Kids is much more than that. It is a levy that is focused on prevention and early intervention, and most of the funding is going to be going out to community providers. The county executive just about a week and a half or 2 weeks ago put forward a comprehensive implementation plan for Best Starts for Kids, which is now being considered by the county council. So this levy will provide almost $400 million over the 6 years of the levy, again, on funding for programs and services that have proven to be effective, that are going to focus on prevention and early intervention, an average of about $65 million per year. And the services, in addition to the services funded through public health, are focused really in 3 areas. One is on prenatal to 5 years old, to make sure that our youngest residents of our county get the best start in life. We know that investing in the early years makes a difference. Data and research has demonstrated that. We know that the early brain development is critically important, and these services will help caregivers, parents, to provide the best possible care for our youngest residents. But we also know that youth and children need support beyond age 5. So about 35% of the funding is going to go for programs and services that target young people ages 5 through 24. And we know that the brain keeps developing until about the mid-20s. And about 10% of the funding is going to go for community interventions, because we know that children and families can't be healthy if they don't live in healthy communities. So we want to provide the support and environment for families to raise healthy children. So that is a brief summary of Best Starts for Kids. We want to thank the City of Federal Way, not only for the bridge funding that you provided, but your partnership in helping to develop and pass Best Starts for Kids, which is really going to make a difference for all of our young children and families throughout the county. We're happy to take any questions if there's time.
Council, any questions? Councilmember Sapadowson.
Thank you. Thank you for the presentation. I serve on the Best Start for Kids Roundtable, and so it's a great program. I'm wondering if you are planning to or have already presented this to the school district or to at their board meeting, because I think they should be aware of what public health does, as well as how to refer their families to your programs.
Are you talking about specifically about Best Starts for Kids or about our services?
Your services and Best Start for Kids.
We do have connections with the Federal Way School District. I'm not sure we made a presentation of late, but we would be delighted to do that. Thank you for the great suggestion.
Councilmember Honda.
Thank you. The mobile medical van for homeless healthcare comes to Federal Way once a month, and it goes to other South Sound cities twice a month or even 3 times a month. Is there a way that we could get it to come here at least twice a month?
Well, that's something that we can definitely look into. In our division is Healthcare for the Homeless Network, which operates the mobile medical van. And I know it in part is based on the demand for the services. So that's something we can definitely look into. So thank you for that. We'll get back to you on that as well.
Okay, thank you.
All right, Councilmember Moore.
Hi there. Thank you for the presentation, and I appreciate the statistics of the fact that our public health serves 20,320 people that live in Federal Way. And I guess I was wondering about homeless. Do you guys keep track of how many homeless people you guys are serving statistically?
Yes, we certainly do. And I don't have those numbers off the top of my head. Karen, I don't think do you? But we can get back to you, too, about how many homeless residents we are serving throughout the county, but specifically at our Federal Way Public Health Center.
Yeah, I'd be.
We will get back to you on that.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Well, we just want to say in regard to thank you, I remember 2 years ago, if you all remember when Patty Hayes was the director, was in her first week on the job, and she was standing right where you are, and we were trying to figure out what in the world we're going to do about the potential closure. And at that time, we were looking at 14,000 visits, per year, to that clinic. And You know, yeah, there was a financial saying about too big to fail. This was literally too important to fail in our community. And I just want to commend the council for that unanimous vote that really allowed, and also the partnership of Patty and the executive. I remember, you know, I was in the process of painting my house and being on a ladder, on the phone with Dow, actually talking about, we can't let this fail. We cannot allow this facility to fail. We worked out a deal, council ratified it, and within a matter of weeks, we had really the continuation of such valuable services.
If you all had not stepped up, I am almost certain that we would not be here tonight, and those services would not have continued.
All right. Thank you so much for your work, Jerry. Thank you, Karen. Karen, were you going to say something?
Yes, I would like to say we provide lots of services, and we are here right in your community, and we do have capacity to serve more. Nationwide, statewide, right here in our county, we know this is an area of huge need, and our WIC numbers, our WIC participation has been going down, so we would love to help. We've been sending outreach, wanting to make sure that people who are eligible for our services know about us. And we would appreciate any opportunities to get the word out some more to help people in need. So thank you.
Thank you so much.
Oh, and one other thing I have to say.
Go ahead, Jerry.
Our Federal Way Public Health Center continues to be one of our most productive centers in the entire county, and is really number one when we're looking at our maternity support services and our infant case management and WIC programs. So they do an excellent job, both in terms of quality and assuring access, and and we would appreciate your help in terms of helping to promote our services. Thank you.
Absolutely. Thank you so much. And thanks for coming down tonight. All right, we have next a proclamation, item B, promoting family and healthy lifestyles. Deputy Mayor Burbidge, to Mr. Ed Barney.
Yes, thank you. It's my pleasure to present this after I read the proclamation. And Ed Barney, I understand you're here.
There he is.
Yes, would you like to come to the podium?
Former school board
And your
director.
son as well, I believe, if you'd like to introduce him when we get up there. So I will read the proclamation and then bring it up to you. This is a proclamation promoting family and healthy lifestyles. Whereas physical activity and proper nutrition are important throughout a person's life due to the physiological and psychological benefits to a person's well-being, and whereas a person's well-being affects the ability to learn, maintain self-reliance, and both prevent and manage chronic diseases, and whereas the benefits on an individual's health affect the well-being of the community as a whole, and whereas the third annual South King Challenge 4 Races, 4 Cities event aims to increase awareness and promote healthy living through activities and education, and encourages our residents to live and make healthful choices. And now, therefore, we, the undersigned mayor and city council of the city of Federal Way, do hereby proclaim the summer of 2016 as the summer of promoting family and healthy lifestyles together, and do hereby encourage all citizens, businesses, and organizations to participate in the South King Challenge activities, as well as participate in appropriate healthy lifestyle activities. Signed this 21st day of June, 2016.
I just want to thank the city for doing this. This has also been done now in Kent and in Maple Valley, and Covington is the next one to do this. This is the second year that Federal Way has been involved in the South King Challenge. They've been doing this for 3 years, so this is our second year with them at this particular venue. Ours is run on August 19th, a Friday night, here at Celebration Park. All of the proceeds from our run will actually go to the Sahali Girls cross-country team. So we're looking to help promote their team as well. So, and Mike happens to be, my son happens to be the coach there for the cross-country team, so we appreciate that.
Thanks, Ed. Thanks, Mike. Thank you for your contribution to our community. Thank you. Okay, we've got certificates of appointment, Parks and Recreation Commission, Councilmember Copain.
At the May 17th council reappointed Dave Berger, Laura Belvin, and George Pfeiffer as voting members of the Parks and Recreation Commission. Seeing both Laura and Dave here, I'd like to invite you to the podium while I read the certificate. The certificate of appointment says, in accordance with Ordinance 00-366, the City of Federal Way Mayor and City Council certifies Dave Berger and Laura Belvin is hereby reappointed to serve as a voting member of the Federal Way Parks and Recreation Commission for a term through, David, for you, April 30th, 2019, and same for you, Laura. So anyway, thank you for your service.
All right, thank you, and congratulations. Okay, now moving on to Mayor's Emerging Issues and Report. We had a great Flag Day a few weekends ago. You know, the Flag Day has been now a longstanding tradition going past, actually, I think it was the 23rd anniversary. I would like to thank Pete von Reichbauer, who really has steadfastly supported that and headlined that. I'd like to also thank our Seroptimist that was organized by the Federal Way Seroptimist and our own Councilmember Honda and Rose Eel with the market, and it was just a great event. A lot of folks. We had the Lions that were there. The VFW, obviously, John Carlson came and spoke. It's just a great opportunity to see. You know, many of the council members were here, were there, and it was at the King County Aquatic Center, and it's a great opportunity to really, hear from our veterans and also talk about the flag and what it means as an enduring symbol for our country. So. Thanks to Pete and the Seroptimist for that. It was another successful event. Oh, Councilmember Honda.
It was the 27th year.
27th year, yes. Yeah, thank you. It's been going on and on, so it's absolutely fantastic. So, all right. So we now have a report regarding our Red, White, and Blues Festival on July 4th, Celebration Park. John Hutton.
Thank you, Mayor, Deputy Mayor Burbidge, and City Council. Very happy to be here this evening to talk about Red, White, and Blues. Want to make sure that the entire public knows that we want them to be there. We'd like to see all of you there, as I know we will. It is a great event. This is our 23rd annual Red, White, and Blues Festival. It features great music. We have Spike and the Impalers back by popular demand. They were fantastic last year, as were all of our bands. We have great kids' activities. We have the bounce houses. We have the Arts Tent. Our Arts Commission supports that. Our Parks Commission is there. They do a great job getting the word out about all of our parks and activities that we have in the community. So show you a few slides. This is the flyer that's been out, and you'll see it more and more in the community over the next week or two as we promote at the very end. Attendance for the last several years has been in excess of 20,000 people, with best estimates at about 23,000 for the past couple of years. So it is terrific. We have great sound system, again, great bands, great entertainment, a great MC. Our MC is back again by popular demand. Alex Zerbe, he calls himself a Zaniac, and I think that's whatever that means, I think he fits that bill perfectly. So the day actually starts long before Red, White, and Blues. We start with our Miles for Miso run, and this is Kimberly Shelton leading the kids in the Kids Dash. A lot of fun. There's a view of some of the crowd in front of the stage. There is Alex Zerbe, who's a terrific world-class juggler and a comedian. He's great. He's been on TV, I think, on 6 or 7 continents. He's pretty terrific, and it all ends up with a terrific fireworks show. So great for the whole family. Want to see you out there. It's free, so come out and have a great time. We have great food vendors, great variety of food for you. So come out and enjoy the event. I'm happy to answer any questions.
Did you say what time?
4 o'clock. Everything starts at 4 o'clock this year, which is really cool. We have a great international band that's there at 4 o'clock, so it'll be rocking at 4 with all the activities open at 4 o'clock.
It's a good time to set up your chairs and all
Absolutely.
that. But the show starts at about 10:15.
The fireworks show starts at 10:15 sharp. Mm-hmm.
Very good. Okay, awesome. Councilmember Hunt and then Councilmember Moore.
And no dogs are allowed in the park. It's very
Yes, no
important.
dogs, please, no dogs. It's not a great event for dogs, and we will ask you to leave.
Yeah, I know. Sometimes people show up. It's an awkward conversation. Councilmember Moore.
John, I seem to recall that each year you talk about the rain and the weather. And I understand from previous years you promised that it's not going to be rain. Can you tell us about this year's weather?
I wasn't going to make the promise, but our mayor said 81 and sunny. So that's his promise this year. I've pushed my luck all the way to the end. So.
Exactly. All right, that sounds good. All right, now let's move into Town Square Park grand opening. What do we, go ahead.
Our Town Square Park grand opening is scheduled the very next weekend after 4th of July. And it promises to be a great show. Right on the heels of the 4th, we have two killer bands, the Spasmatics and the Aphrodisiacs, which are guaranteed to make people dance. You'll have a good time. Everybody likes them. They're a lot of fun. They're family friendly, really, really fun. And we will be opening the Spray Park to the public on that day. So we'll have great music, great food, and again, we'll open the Spray Park for the public on that day. So, and I prepared a little bit of an update. This was prepared today, so these are very current photos that you're going to see today, and I'm happy to answer any questions. We've been kind of screaming toward the finish line on getting the park done. We've had huge progress in the last couple of weeks. I'll go over a few of those. The Great Plaza is complete, and that is where our holiday tree is located. So that'll be a great spot for our holiday tree lighting festival or festivities, and that'll be a lot of fun. And the plaza came out just beautifully. I think you saw some pictures of that last week. The green roofs have been installed as part of the LID project. They look fantastic. The playground is completely installed now. The playground safety surface is about 80% installed. That'll be done by the end of the week. The spray ground is being prepped for the concrete pours, which will begin on Thursday. It'll be a multiple day pour out there. The lights have been installed in the spray park, the LED lights that will light the artwork, and all the nozzles are in the ground. Pipes have been tested. Everything's been pressure tested. The chlorine delivery and cleaning process has been dialed in, so we are looking great on that. I'll show you a few photos. This is an aerial photo taken a couple of days ago, actually. You can see at the bottom of the playground there, in the foreground, you can see the field turf starting to be installed, the safety surface. The white area you see on top of the gravel is the padding. So the playground is 100% installed, and the play safety surface is being installed this week. So here's another view of the playground, and the spray ground is to the left near the bottom. You can see the round forms. That's the concrete forms for the spray park. You can see the field turf being installed on top of that padding. And that's the zip line that it's just next to. And I know that Councilmember Duclos has been promised first ride, so we'll make sure that happens for you.
Good, because I'm looking forward to it.
This is the restroom and mechanical building. You can see the green roof installed on top there. It's very cool. It's a product called Sedum. It's a really unique application, and it helps us with our LID initiatives of keeping the runoff down and the salmon healthy habitat. So the picnic shelter also has green roof on top of it. So you can see that they're staging here to pour the concrete around that building, as well as around the spray park. And then in the lower right-hand corner, you'll see a newly constructed rock wall, and that is really cool. That'll be a nice feature. Some new trees were planted up in there just 2 days ago. Those are crab apples, and they're really pretty, so they'll be great. There is a view from the sidewalk at the north up on 23rd. That is a view of the Explorer Dome. You can see the speckled padding going underneath that, and the field turf will go on top of that. You can see the Great Lawn is really taking shape. It's looking good. The trees are doing good. It's going well. So that will all be concrete in about the next week, just on the other side of the Explorer Dome. That'll be really nice. Here's another look, as you can see the field turf progression of the field turf going in underneath the equipment. One of the real cool features there is the rock wall you see on the to the right. That'll be a great spot. I told the mayor today on our visit out there that I think that's going to be one of the most popular places for parents to be sitting. You can watch your kids on the playground. You can watch your kids on the spray ground. You got just a great view. If you look over your left shoulder, you see Mount Rainier. It's just pretty fantastic. We're very excited about that. So this is actually today at about 1 o'clock. We brought a crane in to set the artwork, which is the stainless steel columns Remember, we had an original idea was to put basalt columns in, and we decided and got great input from council that we thought maybe a better product than the basalt. So we kind of replicated basalt columns with stainless steel. We have an artist that's just terrific. They look really cool, and they're going to just play with the light. All the LED light will play on that. The water will play on that. As you look at it from different angles, as you walk around it, it looks different every time you look at it. So those 3 columns, they're 12, 10, and 9 feet tall. They are really cool. We had to set those with a crane today, and there they are set. They're very cool. Like I said, as you look at this from different angles, it gives you a completely different look everywhere. It really picks up the light. In this photo, it doesn't depict it very well, but there's artwork on that that the artist was able to apply through mechanical means, and it really catches the light and refracts light differently. And when it's operating as a fountain in the evening, it'll really play with the water and the light. So it will be an incredibly cool feature. So that was kind of fun watching those go in today. Kind of a big milestone for us. That had to be done before the spray park can be poured. So it's very cool. Those are about 2,500 pounds apiece. So they're very, very stable. They have huge steel plates on the bottom that are bolted into the ground about 4 feet deep. So those are about as strong as you can make something structurally. So they're not going anywhere. You see again the rock wall, and the proximity to the spray park and the playground is just going to be really cool. That rock also contains a lot of color. That's local rock, and it contains a lot of color, and a lot of work went to placing those rocks in such a way that they're actually comfortable. And we had a little leftover sedum from the roofs, and so we stuck the sedum in there, and we think that's going to be a really cool feature in there too. So obviously very excited. Again, want to invite everybody to the grand opening on July 9th, just 4.5 days after Red, White, and Blues. Come on out for food, fun, and great music, and the Spray Park grand opening. And I'm happy to answer any questions.
And it'll start at noon on that.
That starts at noon, that's correct.
That's great. Okay, council, any questions?
Great work.
All right, it's going to be great. Thank you. Appreciate it. Okay, and actually, can we get back to the main?
Yes, I'm trying.
All right.
There we are.
That's another picture of the columns today after they were installed. Okay, Chief, we've got fireworks planning and enforcement. Our own Police Chief Andy Wong.
Good evening, Mayor Farrell, Deputy Mayor Burbidge, and members of the council. I've been asked to briefly share with you our fireworks prevention initiatives for the upcoming 4th of July. The Federal Way Police Department would like to remind our citizens that all fireworks are prohibited within the city limits of Federal Way. We are seeking the voluntary compliance from our citizens. We'd like to avoid any unnecessary injuries or fires this upcoming holiday. We are collaborating with South King Fire and Rescue in terms of prevention, education, and enforcement initiatives. Prevention measures include, one, we'll do a press release. We'll work with our local newspaper, Federal Way Mirror, to inform our citizens about the law pertaining to fireworks. We will do a code red message in partnership with South King Fire and Rescue that will reach out to 45,000 residents in our community, 5,000 of those calls being made to our business community. We'll also use social media to get the word out to our citizens, and we will be conducting a special emphasis patrol at our parks and throughout the city. So we will have teams of officers out conducting firework enforcement. And there'll be, officers will issue civil infraction, and we will confiscate any illegal fireworks.
All right, council, any questions? Oh, sorry.
A little
Chief.
bit more.
All right, thank you, Chief.
The civil infraction penalty for firework violation, first violation being $100, second $200, and third violation being $300. Effective December 4th, the penalties will change for fireworks. So next year, 4th of July, Civil infraction for firework violation will be $300. And if there's any injuries or fire as a result of use of fireworks, it'll be a criminal offense. Citizen can report firework violation by calling 911 or our non-emergency number at 253-835-2121. We will, as a police department, respond to significant complaints regarding noise and safety concerns. And we recommend our citizens to come out to our city-sponsored Red, White, and Blue Festival on July 4th. Thank you.
All right, thank you, Chief. Council, any questions? Councilmember Duclos.
It's not a question, it's just a comment to the people in the audience and at home. If you're setting off fireworks, which are illegal, you shouldn't be doing that, number one. And number two, if there are pets in your neighborhood, fireworks really scare the heck out of them. And sometimes they get loose, especially if the parents have gone to the Red and White and Blues and they're watching the fireworks there, and they're alone at home. They could go crazy, or if they're in the yard, they could break out. So please think about the pets if you don't care about your neighbors. Thank you.
All right, thank you very much. Councilmember Honda.
As I reported to Chief Wong this evening, fireworks have already started on the BPA trail. They started, I was home Saturday evening, and they started about 7 o'clock at night and went to at least 1 o'clock in the morning, and again on Sunday night. So please follow the law. It's illegal in Federal Way, and hopefully no one will get hurt, but it would be best if you just followed the law. Thank you.
Councilmember Seppadossi.
Thank you. Just a quick question. These first time, second time, third time penalties, do they carry over from the previous year, or are they brand new?
You know, I would say most likely brand new, but if the officer, you know, I think that's questionable. I think there's some discretion there if the officer wanted to do that. But generally speaking, I would say that it would start over beginning of the holiday season.
Good question. All right. Council, any other questions? Chief, thank you very much. Everybody here wishes everybody a safe and happy 4th of July. Focus on safe. All right. We had a Federal Way Chamber quarterly update where myself and several council members were present. It was a great opportunity. Actually, we had a real big crowd over at the Chamber of Commerce. We discussed a number of issues. I gave an update, and we were able to talk about some of the issues that the Chamber was concerned about, and we gave them an update on some of the, obviously, the park grand opening and the status of the Performing Arts and Event Center, as well as economic development efforts that are ongoing. So it was a good opportunity. We have signed on to be a pivotal partner again with the Federal Way Chamber of Commerce, and in our also in our efforts in coordination and cooperation with the Chamber. Later this week, myself, Councilmember Duclos, and Brian Wilson are going to be sitting down with Chamber leadership and talking about ways that we can work better together to make this a better community and business-friendly community. So that's good. As a board member for the Sound Cities Association, I had a board meeting in the city of Pacific last week, and that was interesting, and a lot of good work being done by the Sound Cities Association. All right, that is my report. Let's move on to citizen comment. We've got pink sheets. Everybody knows the rules in regard to 3 minutes and the generally accepted topics. We've got Norma Blanchard, and then followed by Diana Noble-Gulliford.
Don't start the timer now yet. Oops, I've got something else to do. Mine might run a little long, but I need to say all this. While I'm saying it, you can take pictures, large pictures of my backyard. And those pictures were taken in 2006. Not the big picture. Okay.
Okay.
I'm Norma Blanchard, longtime resident, excuse me, of Federal Way, and so I had a report from code compliance officers. And I saw the 2 vans, police vans out in the street, and saw the new neighbor lady talking to them, and I thought, oh, I wonder what happened. Well, it seems that I have a neighbor that is unhappy, so she called the mayor. I have the report that came from the mayor. She lives on, if you're standing in my house, she lives on the left-hand side. If you're outside, she lives on the right-hand side. Since forever, I've been fighting ivy that comes through my fence from her yard. It doesn't go from mine to hers. I have no ivy in my yard. So she complained to the mayor that I left the leaves on her porch. Yes, I did. That day I had it. I'd been working out all day outside. First, I went to her house, and I knocked on the door to ask her what she was going to do about it. She was sitting in there and did not answer the door. I went back home, grabbed my clippers, clipped them, took them to the front porch, and threw them on her porch. Okay, and then her babysitter came up, and her babysitter actually was, I call it babysitter, daycare, whatever she is. Anyway, she was right behind me, so I threw it on there, and she went through the door. Lynn Bennett is the lady's name that lives at 31029. And so as she opened the door and said something, then I heard Lynn say, yes, she was here earlier. So she knew I was there, but she wouldn't answer the door. I have asked her numerous times to cut that ivy, and she thinks it's funny that I have to do it. Ain't no way. So I got, and all this crap that she's saying, one place she says ivy leaves, and then the other place it's a yard waste. She doesn't even know the difference of that. Okay, then, so I got busy and went on the computer. RCW 17.10.01 says noxious weeds, and I'm going to run over and you're going to listen.
That's okay, Norma.
Because I am totally pissed. So, noxious weeds means a plant that, when established in is highly destructive, competitive, or difficult to control by culture or chemical practices. State noxious weed list means a list of noxious weeds adopted by the State Noxious Weed Control Board. This list is divided into 3 classes, Class A, B, and C. And if you look it up, you go down to Class C, and lo and behold, it says that person means any individual, partnership, corporation, firm, the state of any department, agency, or subdivision thereof of any entity. Owner means a person in actual control of the property, means he has to take care of it. You can look it up yourself, it's on the web. Then I go to, like I say, I'm so mad. 3 days it took me to find this on the web. Come on. Okay, so then I looked up and it says owner's duty to control spread of noxious weeds, except as provided, blah, blah, blah. Eradicate all Class A weeds, control and prevent the spread of all Class B and C noxious weeds. And it's for the people that own the damn stuff, not anybody else. So then I went to another web, and it shows you that, and I left one sheet at home, but it has nothing to do with, not that much. Class C. This is from the Washington State Noxious Weed Control Board, and it's listed, all the stuff that's provided here. And the lady, then I'm speaking to, for the lady that lives behind her, she couldn't be here because her husband's had a stroke, and she can't leave him alone, and so I wanted her to come with me tonight. She would have, but she's got ivy all over everywhere. The cottonwood tree that's in the corner of her fence there's a great big root that's going underneath her sun deck, underneath her house. Now they say that's a civil hell. It's up to her to take care of that. Now, and then there was a man that came to my door. I think it was the police department. Where'd Andy go? Anyway, I'd like to have him come back to my house tomorrow at 1 o'clock. I want to talk to him because he said she was going to file a harassment charge against me. Let her file it. She filed once before, and the judge dismissed it.
All right.
So I am not happy with the way this was handled. I would like to have this investigated again and tell her that she has to control the weeds, not me. And yes, I did throw it on her front door. I told the officer, or whatever the hell he was that came to the house, that I did it.
All right, Norma. Thank you very much. Thank you very much.
And wait, I want a list. When you turn in a code complain thing, you know, what it's citizens, something, or I can't remember.
Citizen action request, it's a
I want to
card.
know exactly how those are handled. I want it in writing, that it goes here, 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 and here.
Okay.
I didn't know you could write in, call in, and not have a written statement on it.
All right. We'll have our community development interim director reach out to you and get you that information. Thank you, Norma.
Thanks.
All right. Okay. Now we've got Diane Noble-Gulliford, and then Joanne Paquette.
Good evening. My name is Diana Noble-Gulliford. I'm here this evening to make a request of the mayor and council. King County Health Department and the Board of Health have been holding meetings in the community recently regarding a change in their fee structure, inspections for on-site septic systems. My request is that the city reach out to the health department to see that we have 1 or 2 meetings in the South End, in Federal Way in particular. The purpose of my interest in having a meeting held here in Federal Way is that the fees are going to be raised to $40 a year. It will go on their tax statement, and it will also involve an annual inspection. I feel that this is an overreach by the King County Health Department to generate revenue, and it's going to place a huge burden on homeowners that have septic systems. One of the areas in Federal Way where it's going to impact the most is going to be a neighborhood called Country Lanes, which they have small homes, modest homes, very large lots, and many septic systems. These people, these homeowners that live in Country Lanes, most likely will be put at risk in a decision to upgrade their systems. But sometimes even the $40 a year is just too much for them to pay. So I'd appreciate it if council would look into this. And I have here a map that I downloaded off the website, King County GIS Center. It's a 2016 Equity and Social Justice on-site septic systems, and it shows where the poorer areas are in King County and also where the designated septic systems are. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Diana. Councilmember Honda?
Thank you, Diana, for bringing this to the attention of the public. I am a member of the King County Board of Health, representing the Sound Cities Association, and this has been something that we've been talking about for about 6 to 8 months. And I've talked with this to some people here in Federal Way that I know that are on septic systems, and I haven't found anyone who is very concerned about it. But this is something that I believe that we need more public input on, and I did request a meeting to be held in South King County. At this point, the meetings are going to be held in Woodinville, Fall City, and 2 other areas up north. And I did request a meeting to be held in South King County because I know there are people in the city of Auburn who are concerned, who have come to the Board of Health to talk. And I'm sure that there will be people in Federal Way once they know that this is something that could possibly happen. So,
Great. Thank you, Councilmember. And thank you for your work on that committee. All right, or on that board. Okay, Joanne Paquette.
Thank you, Mayor, Deputy Mayor, and members of the council. This is the June report from the Federal Way Coalition of the Performing Arts. And we have been focusing on distributing the informational brochures on the seat naming campaign for the Performing Arts and Event Center for quite a while, and had them available or handed them out at Blue Poppy Days, the Federal Way Chorale, and the Federal Way Youth Symphony Orchestra concerts. And this Saturday, the Harmony Kings are presenting their 55th annual show, Reminiscing, at Our Savior's Baptist Church, and we'll have them there. The more people we can reach, the more likely we're going to get some donations, obviously. We also plan to have an informational booth at Celebration Park for the Red, White, and Blues event. In our fundraising activity, we've had another star dressing room and an ensemble dressing room named, so have only one ensemble dressing room still available. And the ensemble dressing room will be named for a couple now in their mid-90s who lived in Federal Way for almost 40 years and recently moved. And the more they thought about having their name on something within the facility, the more interested they got. And so they're just really pleased that they could contribute to this project and have their name on something. We've almost finished contacting the various businesses around the Performing Arts and Event Center, and they all seemed, so happy that it's happening. They can see it happening now, and many can see that there will be benefits for them in their businesses when all the activities start happening there. And today we have another check for $22,500 to add to the $851,289 we've already raised, for a total of $873,789. We also have an additional $20,000 in pledges for a grand total of, I love all these numbers, $894,693 so far. So we're working on a couple of possible other naming opportunities, and that would take us very close to our goal. So that's if they work out. So we'll report in July, and maybe we'll have some big news then. And we just wanted to update you. And are there any questions?
Council, any questions? Councilmember Moore.
No question, just a comment. Just wanted to say thank you for all your efforts and work and dedication and passion you've continued to put on. So I just appreciate all your efforts with this.
Thank you.
It's a staggering amount of money you guys have raised, and thank you so much for your Herculean efforts. And it's, as you can see in that picture right up above,
Yep.
our PAC is rising out of the ground. And at one point last week, we had over 20 masonry workers building those side walls. And now on both sides of the walls have gone up, and it's just fun to drive by there, on a daily basis, to watch it really just grow and grow and grow. It's going to open next year. So thank you so much for all your work.
You're welcome.
All right. And we're lucky to have Teresa Yvonne as our PAC director, who's working really hard on what's going to go inside that facility. All right. Okay, Garrett Frank, and then followed by Nick Wilson. Is Garrett here? Okay, come on up, Garrett, please. Or should Nick go first?
He should go first, because I'm going to kind of speak on.
All right, sounds good. Not that I know what he's going to talk about. Come on up. Come on, Nick. You guys want to all come up together?
Yeah. Go on.
Nick has a great idea.
All right. So I've been up for the past 3 days working on this paper, actually, and some other interesting facts I've been finding out on this Friendship Day idea for the first Sunday of August. So basically, it started back in the 1930s, and it was created by Joyce Hall, founder of the Hallmark cards. That's kind of where it originated from. And apparently after the 1930s, it just died out. Like, people just lost interest in it. Probably my favorite friendship quotes that I found on here a little bit, I thought really meant something to me, was, your friend is the man who knows all about you, and still likes you. And the other one I liked was a real friend is the one who walks in when the rest of the world walks out. I think that's a very good one right there. Yeah, and just with everything that's been going on, I think we do need that to keep this going in a way, like in a sense that we need to put one day of the year of our time to check in, because there's always that one year we don't want to remember in a sense. Just with everything that's going on. Suicide rates have been going up apparently compared to what it was in the mid-2000s. The mid-2000s, there was about 992,000 people who died in the state of Washington of suicides. And now it has gone up. Actually, in 2014, there were 1,100 suicides. So that's another reason why we need to celebrate this. Another great movie you guys should check out when you get spare time is called To Save a Life. It's based about these two kids. They grew up together in the same neighborhood, and one of them ends up taking a hit from him with a car, basically, and he gets picked on because he's not the smartest person. Then he gets depressed, and then he takes his own life away. So it's a good life lesson right there of not taking things for granted. Car accidents are up there. Actually, it's about, last I checked, in 2013, we had literally 436 car accident deaths here in the state of Washington. And on an annual global rate, basically, there's at least over 1.3 million people who die in car accidents each year. That's also in addition with at least 3,287 deaths on a daily basis. That's annually. 30 seconds. Wow.
No, keep going. You got 30 seconds.
Okay. Well, here's the ideas then. I'm going to talk about how to promote this then. So what I did to start off is I'd make a long list of the people who I consider close friends throughout the years who I've had a good relationship with. One is pick up a phone, just have a good conversation, just check in with them. Another one I told you is a party, or if you're old school, you want to do the postcard thing. That's usually a really good one.
Go ahead, Nick.
Okay. And also, if you really try to save money, it helps too to post like a good friendship quote picture. And what is the next thing to actually help promote this exactly?
Nick, can you hold on for a second? Did we do 5? Oh, we need to add, because he's speaking for 5 people. Thank you. We shortchanged you on time, man. Keep going.
Okay. What's the next step? Like, who do we get to promote this kind of thing to get like set in stone as the thing?
It's a great idea. Now, we've got our city clerk here. Have we talked anything at all about the proclamation? I think I think I forwarded you the email. I think the first step is we can have you come in. We'll talk to our community outreach person, and we can have a conversation about a proclamation and about give you some gentle steps about how to move forward and some suggestions about how to make this a nice community event. But as far as the proclamation, I think we are planning to do something in early August.
Cool. Thank you very much.
You're welcome. Thank you. Thank you, Nick, for your great. And Nick, I want to say it was when we got your email, I think we all really appreciated all the thoughtful quotes and the heartfelt message. I think I appreciate
out to you, so thank you.
Yeah, we first met Nick when he showed up at when he came to the First Violence Prevention Coalition meeting over at the community center, and we had several members of the council had a chance to talk with him. And we also, Garrett, did you want to say anything on this?
Yes, sir.
Come on up, and maybe we just do a new 3 minutes, please.
So,
you're on, Garrett.
all right, so my name is Garrett Frank, and I've known Nick a long time, and through my years and growing up, I've met people who have come and passed and stayed in my life, used me, lied to me, stole from me, treated me like nothing. Then I've had those friends who my life was like a war, and they're like, hey, I'm gonna fight it with you. I'm like, cool. So I guess my main sum up of that would be that I found what Nick is doing is very important, empowering, and extremely important, because there are a lot of people who go through so much in life. And sometimes just having that one person there who says, hey, I thought of you today. How are you doing today? Can make the big impression on someone between wanting to kill themselves or wanting to live, or just knowing that there's someone in life who cares about them when they feel that I have no hope and I have nothing in life. Because having people in your life is important, but having people in your life who actually really matter and care and who actually stand by you through hard times is, I think, way more valuable, because you can have that person who says, yeah, I'll be there for you. But when it actually comes down to biting the bullet for them, and there's those few select people who actually do, I think those are the people who really matter and stand out, and we need a lot of people like that in our neighborhood, in our community, who aren't just like really good friends to other people that they know, but who are really good friends to just people in general, or people who care, people who just stop by and say, hey, how are you doing today? And just, you know, or just walk by and give someone a nice compliment. You never know what they went through, and someone comes up and says, hey, this looks really nice, or how are you doing today? I hope you have a good day. Could make that person's life really good, or that their day really positive, because you never know, they could have had a really horrible day. So I think Nick's message is very inspirational, and is something that we can all learn from, and hopefully use it to be better people to ourselves and be better people to everyone else around us, whether we know them really well or we just met them yesterday. Never hurts to just call them, say, hey, how are you doing today? And just have a nice, friendly conversation with them, because you never know what goes through their mind or what did earlier, and then now what has changed positively because you took the time to call them and just say, hey, I thought of you today, and I want you to know that you have made a good impact in my life. And for me personally, I only have about 4 people in my life who've actually made a good impact in my life, and I'd say probably he's one of them. And then there are about 3 others that I know of, and I think that's really important to life, to have important people like that in your life who you can come to and talk to when you need to, because also some counseling can be expensive. So that's it for me. Thank you.
Thank you, Garrett. You know, guys, a friend and mentor of mine is very fond of saying that friends are the family you choose. And so that's why I really like this idea. And Nick, if you could call my office, we'll set up a meeting, and you could bring some of your friends, and we'll work on this together, okay? All right, thank you very much for being here. All right. All right. Irving Fenner. Is Irving? Irving, did you want to say anything? I've got a pink sheet. Okay, Bob Woolley.
Mr. Mayor, Deputy Mayor, the Council, my name is Bob Woolley. For the audience, I live in Twin Lakes, and I live on Lake Jean. I feel very comfortable tonight. I've got 5 residents joining me tonight. Mr. Mayor gives me 2 more minutes.
You got him, brother. That's at 5 minutes. Go.
No news. Don Smith and I, members of the Lake Jean Committee, sent a letter to the Twin Lakes Golf Club presidents and the board asking them what was in store for this summer in regards to Lake Jean. They wouldn't accept our letter. They indicated, send it to our attorney. We cannot talk with anybody about Lake Jean. Very disturbing, but accepted. Good news. We got communication from DOE that our permit for the residents to treat Lake Jean for the toxic conditions that exist this summer was denied. But they also indicated that we could appeal it. And we are going to appeal it to see, for the record, why it was denied, and if they would overrule the non-action by the Twin Lakes Golf Club for the last 3 years, the essence of why we submitted the permit. We've completed our tours of interested parties of the Lake Jean complex and the golf course. We did it for the water department team. We've done it for the Mira staff. We've done it for the tax assessor's office, and we've done it for at least one member on the council. Almost all of them can't believe what they see in their eyes and what the toxic condition is. Unless you see visual portrayal or you visit the site, you don't really appreciate the toxic conditions that we have been living with for the last 3 years and can expect to live with for 5 years unless the city council takes some action. The good news, the very good news, on the 4th of April in this room, Councilman Pete von Reichmeyer and John Wilson, the tax assessor, had a listening session. The residents appealed to the tax assessor to come and visit Twin Lakes and give us an opinion. They've rendered that opinion. It took 2.5 months for them to do it. They are taking the positive step to devalue the taxation value of the 40 properties on Lake Jean by $24,000 a year. There are 3 properties that are in the slough that really have a disturbing circumstance because of the toxic conditions. They are going to be given $10,000 extra reduction in the tax value of their property. A very positive premise that a government agency listened to our plight, acted on it, and understood what our dilemma is, and we're very appreciative of the tax assessor's office for supporting us in that regards. The difficulty is it doesn't treat the lake. The lake stays toxic. The result is we're still before the council asking for your due diligence to support the residents. We are waiting word from what the city council is going to do in regards to Lake Jean. The Mira staff is waiting to see what is going to happen. We are being as patient as we know how. The sad news, Lake Jean is on track to be toxic for the 3rd year in a row in July. Our expectation was that we would have completed this activity with the city council by June this month. We still don't know when the city council will act or if they will act. We're pleading to you to indicate what you're going to do so that the residents can take the next step if necessary. I do realize that I ran over on time. This is a very important presentation to y'all, and we again are asking when and what. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Bob. Chief of Staff Brian Wilson, do you have any updated information? I know that he referenced some testing, and we're monitoring this private dispute closely. Brian?
So this has been an ongoing issue for quite some time. We've been in contact with both the Twin Lakes Homeowners Association, the residents, and the golf club. There were efforts to bring this to fruition in terms of getting treatment for the lake, for the golf club to implement their plan to treat the lake. Those efforts have been ongoing. There's also a lawsuit that's been filed by the Lake Jean neighbors, which has prompted a different response, where it's in litigation. And because of the circumstances pertaining to the fact that the water column and the property underneath it is owned by the golf club, the water column itself is the responsibility of the state. That issue of ownership is still at play, and we have not had any decision that's contrary to that. The golf club does have responsibility for the lake. They have ongoing testing that's taking place to determine if in fact it is toxic, and there's a legal definition of what is toxic as opposed to that it doesn't look good. The city and the mayor and the council have been very supportive of the efforts of the homeowners association and the lake residents to find a solution to this. Evidence is just visually is present of treatment of one lake over another and the differences that are present. But given the situation of where we are, it's actually where the homeowners around Lake Jean, with their lawsuit that's been filed, with the response that's been taken place by the golf club, there is not an action that I'm aware of in front of the mayor or the council to take action on this issue until those issues are resolved.
Yeah, we were actually on track we were working with one-on-one counsel and the public, and thank you, Mr. Woolley, for your comments. We were on track, actually, to continue those discussions and negotiations with the Twin Lakes Golf and Country Club, and then there was if we felt like the sides couldn't come together, we were literally going to bring the two sides together and try to mediate a dispute. The as Mr. Wilson has actually just set forth, the litigation changed that entirely, and now it's in a litigation posture.
So, and I will say I have had conversations with the firm that was identified as representing the golf club, and as we had communications directly with the golf club, we were referred to their litigation team. We did speak with them in terms of what are the next steps and how do we get this lake treated, how is the plan going to get implemented. I was advised this week that their firm has been, they've changed law firms. I have a new law firm now that represents the golf club, and I have not had contact with them since. But there has been a great deal of effort on behalf of the city over a great deal period of time regarding the testing and to bring resolution to this. The lawsuit that's been filed has changed the game in terms of how this gets done, and until that gets resolved, or those significant steps, which part of that is to have actual testing that can be verified and agreed upon by both parties regarding the toxicity of the lake. Until that happens, the recommendation that I will have is that to the mayor and council is we don't take action until that issue is addressed.
Mr. Mayor, may I make a comment, please?
No, Mr. Woolley. You've spoken for 5 minutes.
Okay, it's a comment. I've worn my Federal Way hat tonight, and because it symbolizes to me that I have confidence in the leadership of the city, and we're still here.
Yeah.
We will be here, we will be here, and we will be here.
All right, thanks,
Thank
Bob.
you.
Thank you, sir. All right. All right.
Okay.
If anybody else wishes to make a comment, now would be the time. Did you want to come? If you want to make a comment, please come up to the podium, please. And we'll have you fill out a pink sheet after your comments. And please let us know who you are.
I will. My name is Mary Jo Reinsma, and I live in Twin Lakes, and I live on Lake Jean, and I do not need 5 minutes. It's interesting that you're saying that you've done all these different things, and I have had all this communication, and I don't have a clue about any of it. I've never heard that you've done anything. I've never seen anything in writing. You had a meeting at Twin Lakes a couple of years ago, and that was very promising. And that was the last time I ever was given any information about all the things that you just said have been done. And that's really enlightening to know that you've been doing all those things. But I don't know how we're supposed to know that. So that's all.
All right, well, it's a great point. Thank you very much. We have been speaking to Mr. Woolley, and there's another, what's his name? Don Smith. Who've
Right.
been here. We've had several meetings.
But you're saying that, you know, you've done all this work on the lake, and there's 40 of us that live on the lake, and it seems like, you know, a letter or an email or a notification or somebody coming and knocking on my door or whatever would be really helpful. So, thank you.
You're right. Thank you very much. All right. All right. Now, anybody else who would like to comment? Skyman? You need to get up.
Greetings, Federal Way City Council, Mayor Farrell, Deputy Mayor Burbidge, and all the rest of the City Council, and the crowd gathered. My name is Skyman, the Tricolored Crusader. I'm one of Federal Way's real-life superheroes, probably the most public, being as I have many followers on Facebook, I have trading cards. People from all over the nation follow what Skyman does. People from all over the world follow what Skyman does. And if you don't follow what Skyman does, well, come on up and I'll give you a card and you can follow. But anyway, this isn't about me. This is about my friend Nick Wilson. I didn't get to speak earlier, and I really didn't feel a need, but I think I do. Mr. Wilson has been a very dear friend of mine for several years, and he is just a profound person. We talk comic books, we talk movies, we talk about how his favorite super is Cyclops, and how my favorite is Captain America. But in terms of friendship, for some reason, the superhero's life is a lonely pursuit because I don't have many friends. Nick is one of those most cherished friends of mine. I'd take a bullet for this man. I'd go into the trenches for this man. And if he believes National Friendship Day should start here in Federal Way, I believe it too. And for Mayor Farrell and the City Council to enjoy his email, which I got to read, by the way. Very inspiring. National Friendship Day, why not? There's no, why isn't there a National Friendship Day? It's why not? And if we here in the city of Federal Way could be proponents of a National Friendship Day, think of what that would garner the city. All the positive press, all the wonderful people that would come to Federal Way and say, oh, Federal Way's a city of friends. Friendship is valued here in this city. Wouldn't that be something? I think it would. Skyman salutes.
Thank you. All right, thanks, guys. All right, anyone else? It's Skyman, we're gonna need a pink sheet. I got it right there. All right, thank you. All right, thank you very much. That was great citizen comment. Now we're on to a consent agenda. These items have gone through committee and can be passed all in one motion. I'll go ahead and read them, and then I'll ask the City Council whether any items are requested to be separately considered. 5A, minutes for the June 7th, 2016 regular and special meeting. Item B, Marine Hill Stormwater Conveyance System Repair Phase 1 Bid Award. Item C, South 324th Street, Pacific Highway South to South 322nd Street Preservation Award, Project Acceptance. Item D, First Avenue at 328th Street Intersection Improvements, Project Acceptance. Item E, Ratification of Countrywide Planning Policy regarding affordable housing. Item F, Sector Service Level Agreement and Amendment Number 1 between the Federal Way Police Department and Washington State Patrol. Council, are there any items that you would want pulled from the consent agenda for separate consideration? All right, hearing no such motion, Deputy Mayor Burbidge, do you have a motion?
I do, thank you. I move approval of items A through F on the consent agenda.
Second?
All right, there's been a motion and a second. All those in favor?
Aye.
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 Opposed? All right, matter passes unanimously. All right, public hearings, Resolution 2017-2022 Transportation Improvement Plan, the TIP. I'll open the public meeting. First, we'll have a staff report by Rick Perez, our city traffic engineer. Then we'll have citizen comment, and then council discussion and questions. Mr. Perez.
Thank you. Good evening, Mayor and Council. We have a presentation of the Transportation Improvement Plan. So the policy question is, should the council authorize staff to proceed with the adoption of the 2017-2022 City of Federal Way Transportation Improvement Plan and Arterial Street Improvement Plan? So the plan outlines a 6-year plan for transportation-related capital projects. It is updated annually. Projects have to be listed in order to be eligible for grants, and it must be financially constrained in that we have to have a reasonable chance of constructing these improvements within the timeframes, and must also conform to regional air quality requirements. We have a number of prioritization criteria. Whether the project is necessary to meet the concurrency requirements of the Growth Management Act, level of service improvement, improvement in collision rates and collision severity rates, whether the project is supportive of high occupancy vehicles, whether it's supportive of non-motorized users, level of community support, whether it improves air quality, the ease of implementation, and a benefit cost ratio. Also mentioned that we are looking to update these criteria to be more reflective of the policy language in the new comprehensive plan, so we'll be coming to that later on this year. A map outlining the geographical dispersion of the projects that are proposed here tonight. So a little bit about which projects we've been completing. Now, technically, the only one that gets removed from the TIP is for 2015, but we wanted to make sure that it was clear what we have also completed. So in 2015, we did complete the 320th and 20th Avenue intersection. 2016, thus far, we've completed the 304th and 28th Avenue South project, 1st and 328th, as we just had project acceptance. The 2 preservation projects that were federally funded, 288th Street from Military Road to I-5 and 324th from 99 to 322nd. Pete Von Reichbauer Way at South 314th, that's some signal modifications to support the Performing Arts and Event Center. Coming up for the rest of the year, a Safe Routes to School project on Highway 509 from 11th Place South to 16th Avenue South. We also have frontage improvements around Town Square Park, which is Pete Von Reichbauer Way and South 316th Street. We're very close to completing the 352nd Street extension between Highway 99 and 161. And in a couple weeks, you'll see more work from our contractor to do 17 more intersections of flashing yellow arrow conversions. And so that's all to be completed by the end of this year. So we did have a change from the presentation that was provided to the Land Use and Transportation Committee. The 2 overlay projects that we had listed in the TIP were contingent on grant funding. We already know the answer to that. We are not getting those. So we are suggesting removing those from the TIP and replacing them with 2 new pedestrian projects, which will also be contingent on grants. And those 2 are, this came out a little, 21st Avenue South, 314th to 316th Street. And this is associated with the hotel proposal that would actually construct a pedestrian, we're calling it a pedestrian connection, but this is part of the staircase that would go up the wall from 316th Street to the Performing Arts Center and the hotel and TC3. The other one is 8th Avenue South from 312th to 315th Street, constructing a sidewalk on the west side of that street, also providing a safe walking route to Mirror Lake Elementary. Other new projects, number 33, this is part of our long-range plan to develop pedestrian connections between Steel Lake Park and Celebration Park. So this would provide sidewalk and streetlights on the south side of 312 from 24th Avenue South to the entrance to Steel Lake Park. And then right adjacent to that, we are also pursuing grant funding for continuing those improvements all the way to 28th Avenue South. Another new project would provide a sidewalk on the south side of Dash Point Road, SR 509, from 312th to 21st Avenue South. That's also a Safe Routes to School project that we have submitted a grant for. And another safe walking route project is 26th Avenue Southwest, near Olympic View Elementary from 327th to 330th, installing a sidewalk and streetlights on the west side. So, with that, options to be considered is option 1, recommending approval of the resolution adopting the Transportation Improvement Plan and Arterial Street Improvement Plan as presented, or do not recommend approval of the draft document and provide direction to staff. The mayor's recommendation is to forward option 1, excuse me, not forward option 1, but approve option 1.
Okay. Council, are there any questions of Mr. Perez? All right, hearing no questions, are there any I don't have any yellow sheets for this public hearing. Is there anyone after now hearing the presentation or just wants to make any comments on this during the public meeting? Come on up, sir, please. And then we'll have you fill out a yellow sheet when you're done, please.
Yes, I was just curious. Most, if not all, of the plans for sidewalks are contingent on a grant. Is there some marvelous grant foundation someplace that we're relying on, or is it not a high enough priority?
It's a good question, and stick close and we'll see.
Could you state your name for the record, please,
yeah, thank
sir?
Patrick Finney from Federal Way.
All right, thank you, Patrick. All right.
Okay, currently we have no dedicated funding within the city for new sidewalk improvements. So we do rely very heavily on grants. Actually, since the city's incorporation, about half of our capital funding has been from state and federal grants. There's a variety of programs that we monitor and do the best to leverage those grant funds with matching from the city.
Can you tell us, like, there's different organizations,
Yeah.
Can you maybe go through that sort of alphabet soup about where some of these come from?
Okay, so at the federal level, there's the Surface Transportation Program, and that's distributed through Puget Sound Regional Council. There's a regional competition and a countywide competition. There's also Congestion Management and Air Quality Program. There is also a Hazard Safety and Highway Safety Improvement Program. That's administered by the State Department of Transportation, but that is federal funding. There's the Federal Safe Routes to School projects. That program is also administered by the state and distributed by but it's federal funding as well. On the state level, there's also regional mobility grants. Sometimes there's pedestrian safety improvement projects that are also funded by the state Department of Transportation. And then there's also the Transportation Improvement Board, which is another state agency, and it provides funding for cities and urban parts of counties. And that's also been a significant source of funding for us over the years. So off the top of my head, I think that's most of them.
Okay. All right. Well, thank you very much. And how successful have you been? You say that about half of our funding on capital works?
Yes, and about, our hit rate is about 50%. In other words, about half the applications we submit, we get. I'd say that's probably better than most agencies.
What does that typically look like in regard to real dollars? If 50%, per year, what's the neighborhood of money that we're getting from grants?
It varies from year to year, but we're usually pulling in about $6 to $8 million a year in grants, I'd say.
Okay, great. All right. Council, any questions or comments? Councilmember Honda.
Thank you. I was hoping we could still ask a question.
Yep.
Could you talk a little bit more about the connection between the PAC and the park?
Sure. So, and this is what I'm aware of, and other people may have more information on it, but as part of the hotel proposal, there's a discussion about providing that pedestrian connection as a grand staircase, is the way I've heard it described. Now, in order for us to be able to contribute to it, it also has to be ADA accessible. So the conceptual design I've seen has a very long ramp that would come up the side of it. And so right now, it appears as part of the negotiations that it would be part private, part public funding to get that constructed. But clearly the benefits of providing access to the transit center, Town Square Park, Performing Arts Center, and the hotel, and whatever ends up as part of TC3. I think it really helps improve the pedestrian connectivity between all these uses.
How much of a grant are we seeking?
Okay, so there's actually 2 grants that we're looking at for this. One, which, I mean, literally we put together the grant application in less than a week. I mentioned the Regional Mobility Grant Program. King County had applied for this grant from the state, and they were awarded it with the intent of improving access to overcrowded transit facilities. Well, lo and behold, Federal Way Transit Center was among the top 3 overcrowded transit facilities. So they solicited us for proposals on a project that would help improve connectivity to the transit center. So we said, how about this? We just submitted that last week. We hope to find out in another week if we get that. The other option is the Transportation Improvement Board has a sidewalk program. And so we are planning on submitting that application, and actually the permission to submit that application will be on the next Land Use Transportation Committee agenda.
Okay. Councilmember Honda?
So I have 2 questions. So the ramp by the Great Staircase, the grant is to build the ramp?
No, it's to build the whole thing. So the question is, you know, we have to take the lead on it, and that will have to be in dedicated right-of-way. But there will probably be some developer contribution. There'll be contribution, I believe, from traffic impact fee credits to help provide the match to get it moving.
And what is the cost?
Probably high estimate is $3 million.
To build the staircase?
Yes.
We're in negotiations right now with the hotel developer.
And if we don't get the grant, then what happens?
Well, then we'll be trying to figure out how else we can get the funding together for it.
Okay, thank you.
All right. Council, any other questions? Okay. All right. And I want to make it clear, the city is not agreeing to pay the entire 2.8 or 3 million or 2.8. The hotelier in discussion, obviously there are ongoing discussions. We don't want to get into the ongoing negotiations right now, but obviously every little bit helps, and this would be an important piece of that. All right, council, any other questions on that? All right. All right, Councilmember Seffa Dawson, do you have a motion?
Yes, I do. I move to approve the proposed resolution adopting the 2017 to 2022 Transportation Improvement Plan and Arterial Street Improvement Plan as presented this evening.
Second.
Been a motion and a second. Is there any further discussion? All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Opposed? All right. And now, Councilmember Seffa Dawson, do you have a motion to close the hearing?
I move to close the public hearing.
Second.
It's been a motion and a second. Any discussion? All those in favor to close the hearing?
Aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Matter passes unanimously. All right, now we're on to item B, moratorium on the expansion or creation of multifamily housing in the city. I will now open the public hearing. First, we'll have a staff report from City Attorney Amy Jo Pearsall. Then we'll have a comment opportunity for citizens. I've got several comment sheets, and then we'll have council discussion and questions. So, Ms. Pearsall.
Really, just briefly as background, on June 7th, 2016, council adopted a temporary 6-month moratorium on multifamily development in the city. The council is desiring to review the zoning and design standards for multifamily housing to ensure that future multifamily housing developments are compatible and consistent with the type of development envisioned by council. A public hearing is required pursuant to state law, and this is the public's opportunity to provide comment on that moratorium. So I will step aside so that the citizen comment can begin.
Okay. And if you haven't filled out a yellow sheet or the equivalent, if you'd like to comment on this, please fill one out and provide it over to our city clerk. All right, the first name I have is Diana Noble Gulliford.
Well, good evening. My name is Diana Noble Gulliford. I had a question here on the item B. It says moratorium on the expansion or creation of multifamily housing. I hadn't seen the word expansion before. Is it something has changed? I am supporting the moratorium on the multifamily throughout the city. This has nothing to do with the cost of the housing. It is the concept of and the use and the impact that I'm concerned about on our city by the development of multifamily in any of the zones that you have mentioned in the background. I think we need to, as a city, press the reset button on multifamily and revisit the impact that multifamily has on our roads, our parks, our schools, and our neighborhoods. One of the most instrumental reasons why we became a city and became incorporated was the unbridled growth of multifamily development in Federal Way that was approved by King County. The other item was the lack of transportation improvement and the congestion that we have within the cities. As I see it, the amount of multifamily development that we have that's still on the books as far as zoning but not yet developed is going to create a huge impact on our infrastructure as far as transportation, our parks, and our schools. A majority of the units for multifamily is located in the city center. I don't see very many transportation programs planned to increase the transportation flow throughout our city center as a result of the build-out of multifamily development. Other areas that I would like to see considered are view corridors in our city center, and also the development of more active parks in our city. The Sea Lake Park is very well used. We've got the Town Square Park coming on, but we need more parks throughout our city for our youth to play and the families to enjoy the outdoors. Too much of our parks or open space is not developed. We need more. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Diana. All right, Tim Burns.
Mr. Mayor, Madam Assistant Mayor, and City Council, this was addressed at the last meeting 2 weeks ago, and I don't have a position on the multifamily housing moratorium itself. However, I was highly upset that the council rammed it through with a suspension of the rules at the last meeting. In the first place, it was not on the agenda prior to the meeting. It was placed on the agenda at the start of the meeting. In the second place, after discussion of the moratorium and a good presentation, the council decided to suspend the rules so that they could vote on it the same night that it was first addressed. And then to have a public hearing tonight after the council has already approved the moratorium, I think is ludicrous. It smacks of, it just stunk at the last meeting, that this was done, and I hate to use the term, but it was almost the cigar-filled room. There were very few of us in the audience, and the public was not given an opportunity to comment on it prior to the council taking action. And I just think that looked like the council was trying to subvert somebody's attempt to get public housing, and it was certainly not transparent. And I'm really disappointed in the mayor and the council on this issue. If you want to suspend the rules, you should at least give a reason for suspending the rules, and that wasn't done. Thank you.
All right, thank you. Ms. Pearsall, can you explain the procedure and why the law allows that, and what the purpose of it is?
So the procedure that council followed is one that is allowed by state law, and the purpose of a moratorium is to halt everything in place as it is. If too much advance notice is given, it could ruin the purpose of a moratorium in that people could try to put their applications in and thwart that process. So that is the normal process that's followed in order to enact a moratorium, and it's perfectly legal.
What does the term vested mean? How is it relevant in this?
If a person submits an application, a complete application, they're vested to the development rights that are in place at the time of that complete application. So if council were to review their development standards or guidelines and adopt something new, they would not apply to that vested application.
Right. Okay. All right. Thank you very much. Okay. Dave Berger.
Good evening, Mayor, Deputy Mayor, and council members. I'm here just as an individual. I do, however, serve as a board member on the Multi-Service Center Board of Directors. So I'm speaking from that perspective primarily, but strictly as an individual. I've been on the receiving end of several emails and had conversations with friends and neighbors on this subject. There's lots of different and mostly strong opinions on the subject, as you are well aware. In fact, I have more than one opinion on this subject in terms of what the right thing to do is with regard to multifamily housing going forward, as well as what we've seen in the recent past. I have a suggestion for you. I did read is it a ordinance or resolution, whatever it is in your packet, and I noticed this is going to be referred to the Planning Commission, I believe, for study. Because of its importance and the potential impact in all respects going forward, potential changes in zoning and zoning standards, I would suggest that you request that the Planning Commission form an advisory committee, fairly broad-based, that would take into consideration people from not only the community who have concerns about affordable housing or multifamily housing generally, but also those entities like the Multi-Service Center that have a responsibility going forward to address housing needs. As you are well aware, we have a housing crisis that's only getting worse month by month, year by year. And so that's my suggestion, that those points of view be taken into consideration and studied in terms of the impacts, not only the impacts on the community, but the impacts on those entities that are responsible for meeting the needs of affordable housing. Thank you.
All right, thank you, Dave. Okay, we've got two written responses that are being requested to be read. First is by Bob Kellogg, and I'll hand these over, and the second is Thomas Keon, and I'll walk it over. So Bob Kellogg and Thomas Keon.
First letter from Mr. Kellogg reads, Dear Mayor Farrell and City Council, I just finished reading the Mirror article that the city has a temporary ban on apartment construction. I'm glad you're taking this time, with 2,100 units of apartments already in the pipeline, all of which are potentially low income, you're at a critical point of defining what the future of Federal Way will become. By loading our community with low-income apartments, it will not only impact our schools, but the social costs will affect the economic development of our school, our city, and the decisions of businesses that might want to locate here. When I first moved to Federal Way in the early 80s, a survey was made showing that there was a large number of households with individuals with college educations. Warehouser and corporations like mine were located here. My neighborhood was homeowners that were business people, one of which was a Warehouser executive. Today, with multiple cars parked in front of them, many of these same homes are Section 8 rentals. Yards that were once well-maintained are eyesores. My neighborhood is no longer middle class. I am making this point because businesses study and make determinations on fact. If our community continues to reflect a downward trend relative to demographics, they will not locate here. If the apartments that we allow to be built here are only for low income and does not include middle and above lifestyles, then corporations like Weyerhaeuser will go elsewhere. New corporations will not come to Federal Way because we lack the pool of potential workers or the community appeal of other cities or locations. I'm not saying that we should not be empathetic to low-income people and their need for housing. However, as leaders, your responsibility is to consider the whole picture and what is best for the entire community, not just one group. We now lead every other city in the region in taking in low-income apartment housing. This is a regional issue that every city would like to hand off to someone else. We need to fight against that only becoming Federal Way. Crime is a factor in apartment complexes. My daughter moved back to Federal Way 10 years ago. I checked with the police department to then see what apartments had criminal activity. The Cove, where one of the recent murders occurred, had problems of violence back then. She naturally chose an apartment that had low crime rate. Crime statistics that develop at every apartment complex should be public information. If we can make it so, it should be information required to be given to every renter as part of signing a rental agreement. My daughter's previous apartment in Fife had signs all around that said it was a drug-free zone. Whatever our city can do to work with the apartment complexes to make them safer should be done. I do not believe we can stop apartment development. I also believe high-rise development, whether it's condominiums or apartments, is the future of our region. In Seattle, it was reported the average home value is $600,000 and that rents have tripled in the last few years. That puts pressure on all the income levels, even those that we consider affluent. If someone in Seattle has an apartment with a Puget Sound view, I am sure they're feeling the squeeze right now. Some will be looking elsewhere to maintain their view of Puget Sound. We have talked about Federal Way's potential views for years. We just have not tried to sell them or even explore what they might look like. We should be using zoning to anticipate future high-rise developments within our city, whether it be apartments or condominiums for those seeking views. Multi-unit housing is the future and should be included in all segments of society, not just a low income. We have all worked hard to make Federal Way a great place to live, work, and play. Please consider that in making your decision. Thank you for listening. Respectfully, Bob Kellogg. Second letter is from Thomas Keon. It reads, Mayor, Vice Mayor, and Council, thank you for taking the time to hear my statement. I was in attendance at the June 7th Council meeting and heard the discussion about the moratorium on multifamily housing. I agree with the moratorium, but as a homeowner, landlord, and fellow citizen of Federal Way, I would like to add a different perspective that in many ways relates. As I drive around the city, I see an increasing number of buildings used for commercial purposes being vacated. Some of these businesses have closed recently, while others have been shuttered for years. It's concerning to me both in the fact that they were losing our options for businesses that would vie for our patronage, while at the same time they leave the shell of what once was behind. I see brand new structures being erected for purposes I'm not sure couldn't be handled by one or more of the various older vacant structures throughout the city. I'm also concerned that we're losing our economic base and our freedom to choose. Of the vacated businesses, I count 4 grocery stores, 2 hardware stores, 1 with a lumber yard, 1 sporting goods manufacturing business, and soon to be an international forestry management company. This doesn't account for the numerous small business closings throughout the city either. Other side effects of the business vacancies include the fact that many of the property owners don't leave anybody to care for the grounds, which when left unmaintained becomes an eyesore to the rest of the community. Federal Way city properties, streets and sidewalks, parkways and medians, parks, and the buildings the city occupies seem to be kept clean and well maintained. I applaud the city's efforts in this regard. While I'm not a strong advocate for imposing fines, maybe we should send notices to the property owners who are not properly maintaining their properties that the city and its citizens appreciate a uniformly clean, comfortable, well-maintained environment, that their help in maintaining their own property would go a long way in helping us achieve that. This would go a long way to attract visitors and potential new businesses to the city. One such poorly maintained property is not a vacant business at all. It's owned and operated by the federal government at the U.S. Postal Service at Twin Lakes. We pay the federal government plenty in tax dollars. They should show our city some respect. Much of the discussion regarding the moratorium on multifamily housing centered around the ability for people to find affordable housing. Federal Way, as I see it, is a bedroom community with more and more businesses closing their doors and moving out of the city. It's becoming a basement bedroom community. Federal Way, as I heard Kelly Maloney testify to, has among the highest in percentage of available affordable housing in the region, but the jobs are not here, so that forces people who can only afford to live here to commute long distances in heavy traffic to earn a living. In short, the city has a growing number of housing options and decreasing number of economic job opportunities for the people who live here. Many people who rent are transient in that they are a temporary employment situation or they simply want to be able to pick up and move at will. I'm concerned that with too much multifamily housing, we will see a strain on the city's resources and a decline in the quality of our schools due to overburden. When we can no longer boost the quality schools, I'm afraid our property values will soon follow in decline, as many people look into the quality of schools as a major factor in which neighborhood to buy into. You and the planning department may already be working on these issues, but if I might, I'd like to add some ideas for solutions to our housing, economic, and commercial property problems. 1, create incentives for property owners to fill their vacancies. 2, create incentives for new businesses to move into those vacancies. 3, seek out and attract some of the mom and pop businesses from Seattle who are hard hit by their $15 per hour minimum wage. 4, use one or more of the vacant properties to care for our homeless population. For example, food, clothing, housing, training, and even employment opportunities. 5, create a permanent year-round farmers market in one of the larger vacant buildings. 6, develop attractions that people from Tacoma, Seattle, and beyond are willing to go to out of their way to visit. 7, develop a nightlife so that residents of the city don't have to go to Seattle or Tacoma to enjoy live music or dancing. 8, put a moratorium on the new commercial development until a plan to deal with the overabundance of commercial vacancies can be executed. Once again, thank you for your time. Thomas Keon.
All right, thank you. Is there anybody else who'd like to comment on this issue from the public? Okay. Council discussion or questions? Council, any questions, discussions? Councilmember Moore.
Question for Amy Jo, if it's okay. Certainly I understand the moratorium issues and suspending our council rules, but I also have to say that I share in the same concern that we're now having public comments after the vote's been taking place. So the question, Amy Jo, is could there have been a public comment right before that vote? Is that feasible or not?
I suppose it could have been feasible, but most of the people in the room wouldn't have known that it was even on the agenda for that evening. The statute allows for us to have a public hearing within 6 months, within 60 days of passing the ordinance. So we chose to do it at the next available meeting so that people would know that it's on the agenda and that they could come and give their public comment. That is our normal process.
Okay. Councilmember Honda?
Thank you. The moratorium is on multifamily housing, and I hear a lot of people talking about affordable housing. Do you have a definition of affordable housing?
I do not have a definition of affordable housing. This moratorium is not about affordable housing. It's about multifamily housing.
I realize that, but I was hoping that you could give a definition.
I don't have a definition of affordable housing in front of me.
Does Mr. Watson? Is that okay if I?
Yeah,
Thank you. I just think it might clear up some concerns that I'm hearing.
Good evening, Mayor and members of the council. The question of what is affordable housing is a pretty complicated one. Generally, the way that folks look at affordable housing and the way that, for instance, the U.S. Department of Housing and Urban Development looks at affordable housing is housing that is affordable to persons and families that earn 80% of the area median income or less. And even that breaks down. Generally, there's a low to moderate income housing that can be between 50 and 80%, between 30 and 50% of the area median income would be low, and then below 30% would be very low. So It really varies, and what is affordable in one place may not be affordable in another. So it's not there's not a really straightforward answer for it that can apply across the board.
Thank you very much.
All right, council, any other questions or comments? Questions or comments? Okay. Nothing else? Councilmember Hondo?
When will this be going to the planning commission? I'm sorry, you might not.
Okay, I don't have an answer to that. I don't know if it's on their schedule yet.
Scott Sproul? Okay, Brian?
It's being addressed by our Community Development Department, and it'll get, as soon as they're ready to present information, it'll be put forward. The message that Scott and us have talked about is to get as often and as early as possible to address this issue.
I would like to suggest that when it does go to the planning commission, that we let the public know, because they're able to go to planning commission meetings, and there's public comment at those meetings also. They're held on, the first Wednesday night of the month? So I would encourage some notice to the public. Thank you.
Deputy Mayor Burbidge?
I was just going to say that I believe those agendas are published on a regular basis, but I think that we can ensure that that happens.
Absolutely.
Thank you.
Okay. Council, anything else? All right. At this time, Councilmember Assefa Dawson, do you have a motion?
I do. I move to close the public hearing.
All right. Is there a second?
Second.
It's been moved and seconded to close the public hearing. Is there any discussion? All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? All right, matter passes unanimously. Item C, 2015 Consolidated Annual Performance Evaluation Report, also referred to as the CAPER. I'll open the public hearing. First, we'll have a staff report from Jeff Watson, Community Services Manager, and I think he's got just a brief introduction to make, and then we'll have citizen comment, and then council discussions, questions. All right, Jeff?
Good evening, Mayor, Deputy Mayor, and members of the council. Once again, the Community Development Block Grant Program is a program that has lots of bureaucracy and lots of requirements. 2 weeks ago, you heard the annual action plan, which is essentially the annual work and spending program for a particular program year. That was for the 2016 program year. Somewhat of a bookend to the annual action plan is the Consolidated Annual Performance and Evaluation Report, or the CAPER, which is essentially a report on how we did in terms of the spending and the work that we said we were going to do with the annual action plan for a given program year. Tonight's CAPER presentation is about the 2015 program year, and I'm going to ask our Community Development Block Grant Program Coordinator, Cynthia Makatan, to come up and talk to you about it.
Good evening, Mayor, Deputy Mayor, and council members. As my eloquent colleague here has already said, the CAPER is the Consolidated Annual Performance and Evaluation Report for how well we did in using some federal funds for the 2015 year. The report to HUD on how we utilize specifically Community Development Block Grant, CDBG, to meet the following goals: provide decent housing, provide suitable living environment, and create economic opportunities. These are goals that are required by HUD. We do, in fact, use some of our funding to fulfill other local goals, but they have to meet these three goals, one of these three goals. The 2015 CAPER describes the accomplishments for the period beginning January 1 of 2015 through December 31st of 2015. To meet the goal of providing decent housing, we were able to expand the supply of affordable housing in the city through the acquisition, rehab, and resale of a property benefiting a low-income family. We prevented homelessness by assisting 62 individuals, 19 families with rental assistance. We assisted 6 persons fleeing domestic violence with 145 bed nights of shelter, 36 hours of case management, and 288 meals. To meet the goal of providing a suitable living environment, we provided 67 persons with disabilities with scholarships for classes to help them live independently. We weaned 3 drug-exposed infants from narcotic medications and significantly improved their health. To create economic opportunities, we assisted 69 persons with technical assistance, resulting in the creation of 6 new businesses, 2 business expansions, creation of 9 jobs, and retention of 5 jobs. We also provided employment services and 67 hours of tutoring to 19 youth. Other accomplishments in the CAPER for last year, we expended almost $550,000 in CDBG funds, which leveraged almost $986,000 in other funds. A total of 166 persons were assisted, and the majority of the CDBG funds were used to assist very low-income to low-income persons. Some of the agencies responsible for the 2015 accomplishments. So let me step back before I get to that. CDBG funds is through a competitive application process. And so those applicants that are awarded funding through our process will then have to utilize those funds to assist folks to address those 3 goals that I've already talked about. And those agencies that were awarded funding for 2015 and helped us accomplish those goals were the Federal Way Parks Department, their inclusion program, Hospitality House, a homeless women's shelter, Orion Industries, job placement for persons with disabilities, the Multi-Service Center, their youth employment services and emergency rental assistance program, the Pediatric Interim Care Center, Highline College Microenterprise Development Services, the City of Federal Way, their home repair program and code enforcement, and Habitat for Humanity. There are other community partners that help us achieve these endeavors. You're required to, in the CAPER, to talk about efforts of other community resources, such as local housing authorities, continuum of care, and use of non-CDBG programs to meet the community's goals. For example, King County Housing Authority provides public housing and increased housing choice for low-income residents through their Section 8 program. All Home, which is the countywide effort to end homelessness, is trying to improve access to homeless persons through a regional coordinated entry system and rapid rehousing. The 2015 CAPER timeline. Of course, this is a HUD document, so there are major timelines that you have to meet. We had a public comment period held from April 29th to May 20th. To date, no comments have been received. There was a public hearing held at the Human Services Commission at their May 16th meeting. The Human Services Commission approved the CAPER and for forwarding on to the council for approval. The 2015 CAPER was held for consideration at the, I'm gonna try to get this off the top of my head, Parks, Recreation, Human Services, Public Safety Committee on June 4th. It was approved then and forwarded here tonight for a public hearing and council consideration. This concludes my presentation, and I'm welcome to answer any questions.
Council, any questions for Cynthia? Councilmember Moore, then the Deputy Mayor.
Cynthia, again, great work on this PowerPoint presentation. I know I enjoyed it in the Parks and Human Services Committee. Certainly had a lot of questions. And just to kind of restate in the public setting, you know, you do a great job of giving us statistics, which I appreciate. And I think, I know you gave a little bit of 2015 numbers as well, but I'd like to look at details, especially in the last 3 years, of how we're doing, how many people are we serving, just so I can kind of see the trend. And I know that a couple slides, I wish we had a PowerPoint presentation on this packets, but a couple slides back I had a question. Maybe there's a way to pop it up so I can ask it while another councilor was asking. So. I'll take my question offline, Mr. Mayor. Thank you.
All right, thank you. Council, any other questions? Deputy Mayor Burbidge.
Thank you. Thank you very much for your report. It's very thorough, and I'm very appreciative of it. But I would like to just add something for clarification, because we're making use, this is an example of the uses that we make of the federal funds that come through the Community Development Block Grant Program. And there are certain percentages of that funding that we can use for different goals. And this report was to provide that information. But we have another source for human services funding, which comes from our city's general fund, that addresses, there's some overlap with some of these programs that we're providing that people would find a similarity to. And I just want to provide that clarification that we at times will provide a report on the uses of that funding as well. And so this is by no means the totality of the efforts that the city makes to address the needs within the community and the area. So thank you very much.
All right, Council, any other questions or comments? All right, thank you very much, Cynthia. Do we have any citizen comment? Anybody in the anybody in the audience who would like to comment? All right, hearing none. Council, again, this is again time for discussion or questions. All right, Councilmember Kopeng, do you have a motion?
I do, Mr. Mayor. I move to approve the 2015 Consolidated Annual Performance and Evaluation Report and authorize the mayor to execute all documents associated with the report for submission to HUD.
Second.
Been a motion and a second. Is there any discussion? All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Matter passes unanimously. And now, Councilmember Kopeng.
Mr. Mayor, I'd move to close the public hearing.
Second.
There's been a motion and second to close the public hearing. Is there any discussion? All right. All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Opposed? All right. Matter passes unanimously. All right, council reports. Let's start with Councilmember Duclos.
Just a very, very short report tonight. The next meeting of the Finance, Economic Development, Regional Affairs Committee will be at 4:30 on the June 28th in the Hylabus Room. And that completes my report.
Thank you. Councilmember Moore.
Mr. Mayor, thank you so much. I'm going to spend just a few seconds of my report talking about Mr. Bob Woolley. I did take that tour with Mr. Bob Woolley, and I was just frankly astounded by what I saw. And I think my whole viewpoint really is you got to be a fool not to recognize there's a problem, quite frankly. And so I'm anxious for the lawsuit to be completed, because I certainly want to meet and discuss with Phil Matanti what their issues are. But all I know is for myself, we got an environmental issue, we got a public safety issue. I mean, just during my tour, I saw a little duckling, baby duckling, swimming in the midst of the algae. That's not good at all. And earlier, we just heard that the property values have been lowered. That should say something. And so Bob has caught my attention, and as a council member, I know he's caught the attention of the mayor's office, and I appreciate the efforts that have been done there. But I'm interested in seeing further actions in terms of perhaps walking in the direction of passing a nuisance ordinance. And I want us to look into that because there are major concerns that I have here, and I look forward to working with the chairman of the Public Safety Committee and Human Services Committee on this issue, but I want to see this issue resolved before it becomes toxic again, which, quite frankly, it looks like we may address that after it becomes toxic. And the reality is I've looked at the toxic reports. Last year, it was toxic. And so clearly the trend is going in that direction. So I'm concerned, and I know there's others that are concerned as well, but I'm hoping to see some action from the council and the mayor soon. Thank you.
Great, thank you. Councilmember Kopeng.
Wanted to just comment real quickly. few things that I attended, Flag Day celebration and the Chamber quarterly update. But as important as those were, one of the most moving and I think best experiences of the last couple of weeks for me was attending a stories on the experiences of the homeless at the Public Library with Councilmember Asefa Dawson. It was really compelling to me to hear the stories of the people that have been affected by homelessness and how, in many cases there are contributing factors, but their humanity and their desire to normalize their lives. I think the value of having a place to live was certainly reinforced in that conversation. But again, I think putting a very human face on a condition that plagues our society right now, and I certainly want, as a member of the council, to be a part of creating a solution for these people. But again, it was one of those things where I've been exposed to it in the past, but it was certainly refreshing to hear some of the humor, but some of the desperation as well that these people have in their lives, and how they're working really as a community, but also as individuals to move their lives forward. So again, it was a great event, and I was appreciative of the opportunity to go with Councilmember Asefa Dawson.
Great, thank you. Councilmember Honda.
Thank you very much. I'd like to announce that on Saturday, July 16th at the Farmers Market will be the Family Safety Day. This is presented by the Kiwanis Club and the South King Fire and Rescue and our Federal Way Police Department. And what the Kiwanis Club does, as a member of the Kiwanis Club, I would like to talk about this portion of this Family Safety Day, is we provide free helmets, bicycle helmets, and free fittings to children, but the child has to be there. And we have 200 helmets that we've ordered. We'd like to give all 200 helmets away, but we need you to bring your kids to the farmers market on Saturday, July 16th from 9 to 3. In the past, the smaller sizes have gone first, and they're gone by maybe 11 o'clock. So if you have a younger child, you might want to get there earlier in the morning, but I would really encourage you to come and take advantage of that. We will also have information on emergency preparedness, emergency management. The motorcycle officers will be there, and we'll have talk about crime prevention and hands-only CPR training. So please come and take advantage of that. The 60th annual Salmon Bake is also a Kiwanis event, and that is happening on July 22nd at Still Lake Park from 4 to 8, and it is our 60th annual Salmon Bake, probably the longest running event here in Federal Way. I would encourage you to come to that if you're able. Tickets are on sale now and are sold on the site. And point of privilege, I would like to talk about a young man named Nathan Stout. He at age 6, he knocked on our door one night to sell us popcorn, and he said that he heard that we supported Boy Scouts, and we did, and we do. And every year after that, he came and sold us popcorn. And 2 Saturdays ago, I was proud to be at his Eagle Scout ceremony. And Nathan not only became an Eagle Scout, but he also graduated from Todd Beamer that day, and he also graduated from Highline Community College that day. So that was a really bright day for me. And congratulations, Nathan. He's going to University of Washington in Tacoma and is going to be studying computer science. So he's a very bright young man and a great Federal Way resident. And we also had an event called Fed Factor, and it was a district-wide talent show, and it was a couple weeks ago. Our 4 high schools came together. Each high school had 4 different acts, from singing to dancing to some kind of music. We had about 250 people in the audience, and our Teresa Yvonne was there, and several council members were there to support the kids, and I really appreciate the fact that you did that, and the kids appreciated that you were there. And this is the second year that this talent show happened, but it was much bigger than last year. And this year the trophy went to Decatur High School. So not how they did the judging was, it didn't go to, the first prize didn't go to a single act. It went to a high school. And Decatur won this year, so they have the trophy. And next year, about this time, we'll find out who wins next year. But we have some very, very talented kids in Federal Way. And if you missed it this year, you have an opportunity to go next year, and it is a really great event. And every day should be a Friendship Day. Thank you for bringing that to our attention.
Okay, Councilmember Sapadasa.
I just want to say to Kelly Maloney, sorry you weren't here. And actually, that's all. I have nothing to report on.
Thank you very much. Deputy Mayor Burbidge.
Thank you very much. The next meeting of the Lodging Tax Advisory Committee will be Wednesday, July 13th at 8 o'clock in the morning. And I'll mention a couple of things I've been involved with. I appreciate the invitation to the Fed Factor that Councilmember Honda just mentioned. That was just a really inspiring program, and so much talent was shared with the audience. It was just delightful. Another event coming up this weekend that the community can enjoy is the Harmony Kings annual show, which is this Saturday at 2 o'clock and again at 7 o'clock in the evening at Our Savior Baptist Church. And then our local Federal Way Symphony has their annual garden show. It's different this year. Usually it's a garden tour. This year it's a garden show at one location, the Twin Lakes Golf and Country Club on 320th, and they'll have displays and programs from 10 in the morning until 5 in the afternoon. You can take in part of it or all of it and have lunch there if you like. There's another garden type festival coming up too that's really quite different. This is either the third or fourth year that the Storytelling Festival has been presented at the Powell's Wood Garden in Federal Way. And this will be held this year on Saturday, July 22nd, and, Friday, July 22nd, and then Saturday, July 23rd. And Friday is there's a workshop format and free children's programs. And then on Saturday, the whole garden is open to the public from 9:30 in the morning to 5 in the afternoon. And they have wonderful storytellers from all over the country and even outside the country who come and share the stories with folks in different locations throughout the garden. There are open tents for protection from the sun, or if there might be a light rain. Generally, it's very nice out that day, though, and there are refreshments available. But it's truly a charming and enjoyable event for people of all ages. A lot of families come together and share in that day. And I, too, am very pleased about the Friendship Day recommendation. I want to see it move forward. Thank you.
All right, thank you. We hope you all have a happy and safe 4th of July. We'll see you also at Town Square Park, but we'll see you in Celebration Park on July 4th. We are adjourned.